as long as it takes. Could be weeks, months. You know, we plan on staying there as long as it takes. GVRD, which is the Greater Vallejo District, recreational district, is one of the lead players in trying to develop. They want to build a parking lot, toilets, and possibly a playground in the future.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jesse said that it's an occupation, which it is, but it's also a spiritual gathering. I just like to add that.
Yeah, and I think it's important to think about this for a moment. I think one of the things that kind of blew my mind was that, you know, the GVRD wants to put toilets on top of our burial site, on top of, you know, indigenous people burial site. Can you imagine what would happen if somebody went down to one of these Santa Barbara cemeteries and wanted to put a toilet on somebody's grave? How would it take? I mean, how would the public react to that? And I think it's really amazing that, you know, we have to explain to most of these non-native people that they're not allowing our ancestors to rest in peace. They're not allowing, you know, native. Well, why is it that native people can't rest in peace? What are your feelings about that?
I think it's messed up. The other day somebody told me about an incident in Virginia where Walmart wanted to build over a Civil War site, and the residents, you know, fired up, you know, angry and protested, and Walmart cannot build there. Same thing should be happening for us. You know, we're protesting. They shouldn't be able to build over our ancestors. Mm-hmm. Just the same way, you know, that they're not allowed to build a, you know, Walmart over their ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it too is the powers that be, you know, just don't understand. They don't take the time to understand the different religious practices of not just of Native Americans, but also of people of color. And I think that's important to take into. It's important because, you know, that's our tradition to do these things for our ancestors, and to not allow us to do that is a desecration. So,
I think that non-natives look at it that Native Americans aren't around anymore. They see us as invisible, and they can just run right over us. You know, think that we don't have no say-so. It's like people don't realize there's still Indian reservations, you know, throughout the United States. You know, there's still Native full-bloods, not even mixed, full-bloods that are still out there. And people just don't see them as real people.
You know, both of you had mentioned that you got involved with AIM during the carpentry mascot issue. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the reasons why I'm very much, myself personally, I'm against the mascot issue, because it's very difficult to see Native people as having real issues and real concerns when you have people wearing those Atlantic Brave hats, when you have high schools doing the tomahawk chop or whatever. You have Native people being regarded as mascots, which is in a sense cartoon figures. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard for the general population to see us as having issues or having sacred burial sites, you know. But what's really interesting is the other side of the coin is that they'll make millions of dollars making a horror movie about what happens when you build on sacred burial sites, you know what? So they capitalize, they build these stereotypes, and they capitalize on hysteria, you know, and so it's kind of like we're being used or not used. We're either disregarded completely or completely mystified or made into this myth that, you know, to put us in a little box, but they don't really see us as people. You know? I think one of the other things that kind of hit home in this is that, you know, it kind of comes down to the rights of indigenous people. And we've gone to a workshop earlier in the year about the Declaration Rights of Indigenous People. I know you had some feedback on that there.
Yeah, it was good. Article 12, you know, states that we have the right to, you know, worship, practice our, you know, spirituality. It also states that we have the right to get, you know, our ancestors, you know, repatriated. If I was to go to a cemetery and dig up their bones, I would be arrested. the bones that they found there at Glen Cove, they're now at UC Berkeley and, you know, other places. You know, and there's hypocrisy in that.
Yeah, it's not just hypocrisy. That's what kind of criminal charge would that be if we went to? Would we get vandalism? What else would we get? Theft?
Desecration.
Desecration. Yeah. That's kind of even like perverted. If we were to go to a cemetery and steal somebody's bones, that would be seen as like really, you know, kind of mentally, psychologically off. But it's okay if they do it, right?
Right. Well, and for me, it's I feel it's maybe the overplay of being Christian too much, that, you know, that's the only religion, and it's not. You know, and they have to understand that. You know, that there's other religions and spiritual avenues than just being a Christian. You know, and they have to realize that also. You know that goes back again to, you know, how their parents or grandparents taught them tradition. You know, if they don't have tradition, then they don't know.
I think Barry and Steve pretty covered it much all.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that kind of comes to mind is we went to Cal State Long Beach not too long ago because there was a young man that wrote a horrible article on his version of what was going on in a powwow. And I was really, really pleased and proud of how those Cal State Long Beach students, you know, rallied up, got the community support, and was able to teach this writer a valuable lesson. And I did witness this writer apologize to the people that were there. And but again, it goes back down to, why isn't the general public being taught to see us as valid human beings with rights to protect our families, to protect our ancestors, to protect our lands? You know, what's going on out there? I mean, what do you think it is? Is it the media? I mean, what's I'm at a loss.
I think all of us are. I think one thing, society is, here in America, most people don't have a culture. They don't have traditions. They're brainwashed by the media and what they see on Hollywood, pictures. You know, most of them, you know, showing stereotypical, you know, Indians as savages, you know, and, you know, when, in my opinion, and I'm going to state it, the people that were the savages were the people that came here and we saved their lives. You know, they say Christopher Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. The Taino discovered a lost man, Christopher Columbus, you know, and so even in the schools, you know, the schools teach lies. You know, whenever we won a battle, it was a massacre. When we lost, it was a victory. You know, double standards, hypocrisy. You know, and so I think it's a lot of, you know, different things.
Yeah, I think we can probably, you know, come up with a lot of different ideas as to why it happens. But getting back to Glen Cove, what have been some of the challenges working security there? What have been some of the things that you've had to see and participate in or do? They're really trying. We've seen police. We've seen undercover coming in, taking pictures. One day I saw a boat coming up. I pulled out my binoculars and I was watching the boat. And he pulled out his binoculars, surveying the land. And as soon as he saw me watching him, he threw his binoculars and tried to act like he was fishing. We have GVRD coming in. You can find on YouTube where they're spreading lies, saying that they're not going to desecrate, you know, our, you know, the burial site. But you know, if you build a toilet over the ancestors, basically what you're doing is crapping on them, you know, urinating on them. You know, how is that not, you know, respecting us?
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. What are some of the rewards? What have you experienced, Steve? I know you and I talked a little bit earlier about the rewards of having been part of this.
One of the things that when we got there in the morning and we were at ceremonial fire, since that time, for myself, it was